First one was good.
Okay.
Did you get any of those?
I heard them all.
Oh, okay. It's probably because I got different processing on.
We should just actually leave that in. That should just be the start. No,
that's terrible.
just idiots clapping.
Right.
Whenever you're ready, buddy.
Aliens! We aren't doing this again because I forgot to start the recorder just now. So, hello everybody. Sorry, we have been away for a while. Both me and Jake have had a lot of stuff going on. As you can see, it's a problem.
Yeah.
This time
I didn't die.
You didn't die.
We didn't give up on this. It seemed like we did for a minute there. People were like, "Remember when you guys did that podcast?" I already had people say that to me. I'm like, "We're gonna do it again."
Yeah, it's just life. Life happens. We
some life stuff
and there's
happened.
no point trying to force it at a time that neither of us are like in the right mind to do it. So
yeah, remember I did try to make you do one with me when I was probably not in the best state.
Yeah, I was like, I suppose
I wanted to do it as more of a distraction. You were like, "Let's wait." Like, yeah, probably.
I was like, "How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm fine."
Well, there was that too. Yeah.
And the other stuff, yeah. But,
yeah, it's been a time.
But anyway, aliens.
Yeah.
I've decided we're going to talk about aliens. This is my idea. Although Jake, we've talked about this before, and we're not talking about.
We've run out of motorcycle topics. There's none more. We've covered it all. Three episodes. We're ready to talk about aliens.
Done. Aliens.
So
I just want to make it clear we're not talking about aliens in the sense of like everything is aliens and we believe everything is aliens and we believe all the conspiracies. It's just even if none of that is true, there is some truth to the fact that now things like the Pentagon and other organisations are talking about it much more seriously. So it would be interesting to discuss it as like, well, if it's not aliens, or if it is aliens, or if it's not aliens, what else is it? There has got to be something behind this in some direction. So
yeah, I just want to know if they're going to be like if we can have sex with them and stuff. Are they going to be good looking? Or do we are they kind of weird, but you just do it because you want to? Like, you're like, hey, that's something different.
We're there already, are we?
Yeah.
Where's that line from? Where's that like? That was Jane Silent Bob when he's like, I want to be the first person to meet a Martian and it. And he goes,
yeah.
It'd be like, people would be walking past going, homeboy, to Martian once. It's just Jane Silent Bob. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
For sure. That was a good point.
Let me start this off.
Just do that.
So, when we were both born about the same time, mid-80s, and up until the last 10 years or so, if you ever talked about aliens, you were crazy, fisherman had too many beers, sat on his boat in the middle of the night.
You might still be.
Maybe. But there's a lot more sort of realism, it seems, to some of the stuff they're talking about. Not all of it. We're going to have to talk about Mexico at some point, then they're aliens.
They're people now too, Spicy. You can't call them aliens.
Wrong type. I don't know. No. I'm not.
Sorry.
So, anyway, yeah, when we were younger, if you ever brought up aliens, thought you saw something like that, you'd be discredited. Your friends would think you were insane to have
I
such
think
thoughts.
I think if you thought you saw something, you were like, I just, I won't even tell anyone that.
Well,
Not that I don't know that I've ever actually seen something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if you did, you probably would just keep it to yourself, which we could get into is something that fighter pilots and NASA people have done.
But before we get to that side of it,
that's deep into it.
Have you ever seen anything that you were like, I don't know what it is?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course I've seen things I don't know what it is, but I don't know what everything in the sky is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have an app now. We didn't used to have an app for that. I love that. Now when I look up in the sky, I'm like, what the heck is that? I pull the app up and I see, oh, it's this plane going at this speed, at this height, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like, of course, I'll tell you a funny one that I absolutely thought was space aliens and we were losing our minds. Me and a group of friends were outside, and in the distance was a silver circle slowly coming at us.
Right.
And it was moving at speeds that made no sense for an aircraft, right? It was slow, and the shape was all goofy. And then at some point, the circle started becoming more of an oval.
I know.
And more of an oval. We're going, what is it? What is it? It was a blimp.
Yep.
It was a silver blimp. I think it might have been. Yeah, and those are rare. Like, you don't see blimps every day,
No. I've seen a couple.
Maybe there's a point in time, maybe, but it's like, so, man. But you think about funny things like that, or things that you don't know, or people see the rocket launches sometimes. They go, like, have you seen the ones at night over LA? What they look like?
The
People
spirals.
getting crashes. It looks insane. It looks like a squid in the sky. It's weird. So, I've probably definitely seen things that I didn't know what they were. Have you seen those? Have you seen that?
I say, just go back to what you're saying then, that's a good point, because even though you and I know, like, someone says, oh, I saw a line of dots in the sky, you're like, Starlink launch. It's just Starlink. But it comes up every time. It's like, when are people going to en masse know what these things are? To the point it's not going to have people crashing, they're just going to go, But anyway, going back. I can't say I've ever seen anything that I couldn't explain away as being something else. Because one of the most important things to me is whenever they show footage of a UFO, it's the way it moves. And if it moves like, you know, a balloon floating along or a plane going in a straight line or a steady speed, I want to see something doing absolute, like, ridiculous right angles and going backwards and forwards and super fast before I think it was anything else. And although I've seen some lights and some things, nothing has ever fallen outside of, well, that's something that I might already be able to explain.
You ever seen a meteor come back into the Earth? Just happen to catch one?
I've seen quite a few. And I've seen one.
Seeing it day. If you see one in the middle of the day, that was. I've seen them at night. You know, you see the street.
Once.
I saw one in the day. It was just the fire coming. It was so cool. And people around me are like, "Is it gonna hit the ground?" I'm like, "What if it does? Who knows? Can't do anything about it now. Might as well just enjoy it."
I have seen during a meteorite shower. I saw a very large one come through and left like a illuminated smoke trail behind it, and I thought, you know, that was like 10 miles above me, was it, or less? It was just there. And then you're like, no, that was like 150, 200 miles in the air. It's nowhere near. By the time that came down, if anything was left, it's probably in France or something like that.
Well, I imagine that when I saw the daytime, I doubt that actually came in the ground, but it was crazy to look up and you see the fire and the smoke like kind of bellowing off of it. And my neighbors were out there too, and people were really worried about it. And I was like, no, it's most likely going to burn out, but that's just so cool that we happened to look up and there it was, you know. But
think of people in the past; they would have saw that all the time. Because without the light pollution, you would have seen the meteor showers, which are hard to see now, would have been so much more prevalent. The sky was so much more important in the past, which makes some sense as why some of the religions sort of look up to the stars and the sun as being the true life giver.
I'm remembering the story. It's not really alien related, but it reminds me of that story of Christopher Columbus apparently telling the people. Was it him that told them that he knew a solar eclipse or was coming? And he told them if they didn't do what he wanted, his God would blot out the sky in the next few days.
I do not. I know of this idea of if you know something like that ahead of time, like I will make the sun go away if you don't, and they're like, no, you won't. Right, give it a minute. Aha! Now give it 2 hours and it'll be totally out.
You would think that guy is a god or something, or has the But yes, aliens. We've already gone off the rail here.
No, we're skirting around. We're skirting around because the thing is, this is okay. So let's move forward to more recent times. There was the Tic Tac, David Fravor, all the Joe Rogan interviews, all of the documentaries around it. Now you've got they got their story, which is very, descriptive and makes, there's a lot there. Like I was saying about, it doesn't make sense that this machine could do this. It's not something man-made, as far as we know. But then all the footage that's come out, nearly all of it is a bit tricky to really prove anything with, and they say there's higher quality versions. Why am I frozen?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everyone. Technical issues. Where were we? I was talking about the fact that all the stories that David Fravor and all the stories you've heard about the Tic Tacs and all that have been really, really interesting, and they talk about all the things that these crafts have done and the details they saw on them. But we've only ever seen some random videos which don't actually really give much detail. Like, there's the one of it, like, locking on going across the sea that some people have said, well, it's a duck. But, I've done bird watching for a long time. It's moving like a bird that does say very low and straight, but the numbers on the back of that don't really make a lot of sense. There's the weird one that's, like, twisting and turning. It's like, it's turning.
Yeah, there's some goofy stuff with that stuff. I do think it's neat though that, like, I'll say this: there's with how many cell phones and technology you have now, you'd think you'd see more videos of this, and you kind of do actually. But it's still nutty to me how low quality it is. But then I also remember people, we think of our cell phones and they are amazing, like how good the camera's in it. But that's still a very short range. It's not. It's like go outside and film a car down the street and tell me what it looks like. It doesn't look great. So I could kind of see two sides to it, but it is odd to me that we don't have more good footage of this.
There is an interesting thing that said that, like, if you look at the amount of cameras and the quality of cameras that are out there, it's gone like this in recent years. The quality of the video we see is done that.
Yeah. It's because people are uploading it to TikTok and they don't know what they're doing.
Well, it's also the fact that so many people fake stuff. Because if you search UFO on YouTube or anything, it's nearly always faked.
Yeah, and that's the goofiest thing out there. And like this gets into the other weeds of it, but it's like how much of it is like, do you think is like purposely manufactured fake stuff? Because if you have enough random fake stuff like that out there, the few real things, if they are real, you would just go, probably fake. Like it's so easy to just go, But
that's the thing. That's where this sort of the military sources have made it quite interesting because it's official. You've got the Pentagon talking about this. You've got real. It's not just Jim Bob, as we said before, out fishing, having a few beers and saw what it's like. This is someone who's trained to look for things and identify stuff. And the fact that they're being allowed to come forward and say all this stuff without any having happening, you're kind of like, right, okay, so why would the American government or world governments, but it's generally been the American government that's talked about this because it's, UFOs in America seem to happen way more than everywhere else in the world. But that's not actually true if you look into it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, all the people, the experts in it will say that China and Russia have a whole bunch of them too, and there's kind of like a behind-the-scenes arm race to see who can backwards engineer the technology. If you believe that stuff, that's the story you hear come up a lot if you listen to the people talk about it, the ones that are into it.
Well, it's like Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar. I've listened to him. A lot of the things he said have been proven years later, but I can't help. I have this gut feeling that he's just talking out of his butt, or he was.
We've been engineered to think that way, right? What if it's all true?
Well,
I know, like.
Or he has been made to talk about this stuff to make it seem real, to make it seem less real, like the whole.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It seems like there might be people, like let's say they came across information, they also just maybe fed him a whole bunch of other random stuff, and when you throw this other crazy stuff in there that sounds nutty. Kind of it's like anybody. Anytime that someone comes forward, what's the first thing, like when we want to shut them down, whether it's the government or like a lawyer in a defense case, what do you do to the person with the evidence? You try to discredit them and make them they're a loony, they're crazy. I mean, you and me, if we saw something, right, and we tried to say something about it, and a government lawyer, somebody who could dig into us just a little bit, wanted to make us look crazy, spicy. I think we could make ourselves look crazy pretty easily. We have enough YouTube footage if we put together right. It's like, look at this guy. You can't trust him. Yeah, he's throwing rocks on the beach. He's petting donkeys. What's his deal, man? What's wrong with this guy? He's not okay. Like, it wouldn't be hard to do. You rode around with a tree branch one time, and I would just point to that video. Look at this idiot,
How could he have seen an alien? He carries tree branches while riding motorcycles. Clearly discredited immediately.
He's also been in a few accidents. He did hit his head.
Yeah, there's that.
So, but yeah. So like, what? There's been, I think what's neat, right? So there's been back through history and time, different people saying they saw different things, but it does seem interesting that there seemed to be a big uptick in it around the time that they started cracking atoms in half out in the desert and making atomic bombs. It's you almost wonder, like, if there was something up there, right? And like you kind of they kind of monitor probably from a distance. Mm-hmm. We're probably like a colony of ants to them. We're not, they're kind of neat to go look at, but we're not interested. All of a sudden they go, wait a minute, you see that just come up on the sensor?
You see what they came over. I mean, that's true, because if you saw ants doing ant things, you wouldn't think anything of it. But if you saw, I don't know, a group of ants doing something unusual, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the first thing that gets my attention is like, hey, they're flying around in little metal boxes. That's kind of interesting. Then all of a sudden a mushroom cloud comes up one day and you go, huh, that was hotter than the sun for just a moment over there. We need to go see what's going on.
Do remember this. From their perspective, if you look at all the actual nuclear blasts that have been on the Earth, most of them are in America. You have nuked your own land 1,000 times.
It's the desert. No one cares. It's fine now.
If no one's ever seen it, there is a YouTube video which is like atomic explosions on the
Oh, I've
world
seen
over
that
time,
one.
and it's like doop 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 doop, and then it's like Russia, America, Russia, America, Russia, America, and then it's like America just goes, oh yeah, America, America.
Yeah. Then we also started doing silly things like let's put one in space and then scattered type of radiation all over the Earth.
Yep.
That was silly. They started putting them underground, which also was like, we need to quit doing that.
Yeah, that gets to the whole story of the man cover that got sent into space theoretically. Have you heard about that?
Oh yeah.
Everyone's heard about it.
I love videos that show the fastest things that we've ever created, and a lot of them for fun. The top thing will be the man cover, which is totally like if it survived, who knows? We have it in one frame, then another frame, and that's not really enough because it's still in the one then moving there, so it's actually still not technically enough to see what its speed was. But the minimum predictions are hilarious. Like it's
only
so fast.
One thing to it that I've never heard. I mean, there are many videos on that drain cover. Not one of them mentions the fact that they tend to be made of cast iron, which is
Would it
great.
just burn up?
But no, they shatter.
Would it hold up? It's shattered.
Brittle.
Look,
Won't
here's the
bend,
thing.
it
If
will
I'm
just-
out there, if the anthill outside suddenly a little cover goes, bing, I'm gonna go. All right,
Ow!
guys.
What was that?
Yeah, what are you doing? So yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
so
I think that's very interesting. That that's
going
when it
back,
kicked
you were
off,
saying about
roughly.
it was, but equally that was like the 50s and 60s, right? Mm-hmm. That was around
Like
the
40s.
40s, 50s, 60s, and then there was all the Roswell stuff, which was
Because Roswell's I think in the late 40s, isn't it? Look at us experts doing a podcast on this. It's something like that.
But equally, it's around the same time, you could argue, some have argued, that it was the time that they were developing secret aircraft, like stealth craft.
They were starting to come out that time.
Blackbird,
Yeah, it was
all that sort of
into
stuff.
World War II.
Now
And that advanced it so much. Yeah, they had jets now and all this other crazy stuff.
Now, they say that around the airports or the places they were testing the SR-71 and all the the triangular-shaped jets, they would have people see them and call up, I can't believe what I've just seen. It's some giant. And they're like, really? Is it still out there? Keep an eye out for it. We don't know anything about it. Because then they come forward and go, I saw this thing. And they're like, oh, sure you did. And then all the realistic sightings, someone actually saw it, they then get discredited and made out to look like a complete lunatic. These people must have been going insane.
Yeah, they definitely gassed a lot of people. And what's also nice, too, is to hear that it does sound like there really was a lot of incidences around those airports when we were testing wild things, that things did show up. And then you start seeing that there used to be things in the manuals when they trained, like, people that work there, like, you're going to see these from time to time. Apparently, it's something like a lot of, like, fighter pilots, different things, they've got stuff about this that's like, oh, yeah, you might see this. And then that's where you've seen a lot of stories come out where it's like, yeah, maybe. It's so hard to know what's fake and what's not. And I think that's on purpose.
The thing is,
whether it is to hide aliens or to hide, you say, other tech, which is kind of into the more meat of what we were going to talk about.
But actually, probably the more interesting. I actually think that might be more. As much as the aliens is interesting, there is a defining line.
The aliens are pretty interesting.
There is a defining line in this subject which doesn't exist in many other discussions, which is on this side of the line, aliens are real and all of it's real. And on the other side of it, aliens don't exist, or if they do, we've never met them and they've never been here, they've never had an influence, in which case it's all made up.
But there definitely could be both could be true. There could definitely be aliens,
There's a bit,
and there could be stuff out there. And then we've also maybe backwards engineered things where we have tech that we're like, I'll wrap it into that. It may also make people look crazy. I know it sounds nutty, but also we often assume that the people in charge have this great master plan, and they're usually just winging it too.
They're
flying by the seat of their pants.
It only sounds nutty if you are truly saying that's what the thing is. Anyone who's fully convinced either that it's this or that, without physically seeing something themselves, they are just giving an opinion. And how strong that opinion is different. We're not saying this is true. We're just saying, look at all of the possible options out there. It's not just people making up stories themselves anymore. You've now got the government's getting behind it. NASA's talking about it.
Well, it's also just because it's not crazy farmers. How many? There's been, like I said, there's been a lot of people in different Air Force that flew planes. There was, like I've heard that they say that they'll see stuff and they decide not to even report it sometimes because they just don't want to bother with all the BS-ery. There's also there's that recording of, I can't remember which Apollo mission it is, but they didn't send this down, but the flight recorder was running. They didn't realize that, and they're talking about seeing something out the window. I'd have to go back and listen to it, remember exactly what it is. But then they're having a conversation about whether they should report it or not. Because they said if we report it, they're basically saying we're going to be grounded. We'll never go in space again, which is like, So they're just like, shut up about it. So they're on their way to the moon, if this is true, and they're like, what are these crazy monkeys up here doing? Which is what I like to think the aliens think of us as, is some big-brained monkeys. Like, they're in a tin can right now, going out to their little satellite out there. Let's go see what they're up to, you know?
They're like, they're going to the moon. What? They're going to the moon. Why? I don't know.
They know nothing's there, right? I think so.
but that's where another side of it comes in. What if aliens did exist? Is it something that's existed out there and occasionally visits, or did
they make us?
People love to think that because they like to think that humans are so special. We're so different from any other animal on Earth that we are so special that we couldn't have possibly come from all those. It had to have been superseded intelligence.
I mean, I think that there's reason to believe that you could, but like I also completely could see it just happening on its own as well. But yeah, when you do look at like the smartest primates out there, they've basically been the same for a pretty long time. It's like, did we naturally tip over a tipping point, which then had an accelerated growth there, or did some crazy space aliens come down there and like, the ones there, they're probably the most, like maybe we were the ones that were like using sticks and stuff already, like we were a little more clever than the other ones. Maybe we started like wiping our butts or something, you know, we were being a little bit smarter than the other ones.
And they said butts.
They said, let's just go we'll make their brains grow. They gave us the brain growth drug, and then we
what if it's even better? What if the actual reality is some aliens got drunk and basically it was a prank?
It could be. I think it's very weird too is when you hear the people that go deep into the conspiracies and talk about this stuff, is that they say that when you get to a certain level of people that are in the know of these things, they start all agreeing that actually public shouldn't know, that there's some reason that they're scared for public to find out, and so that gets into the weird theory of like, well, why is that? And so you say like, well, is it because we are an experiment? If we all if we consciously all become aware, they're going to end it. Like, all right, guys, that's enough.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of fun. It's a fun thing to start thinking about. Like, why would so many people say we shouldn't? Or there's just the idea that, well, if that comes out there, there could be religious wars and whatnot, which I think would be a very likely scenario if it really came out hard evidence. I think not all of them. I think there would definitely be. There'd be some weird stuff that could happen from that. And,
it would be kind of ironic to have religious wars after every religion gets disproved. Other than sun worship, because
I would happen though.
Oh yeah, I agree
sure
with you. I completely. You'd have a lot of people just saying that's not true.
Yeah, or I heard
it's a test.
I think Joe Rogan was saying this. I've been listening to different things about aliens because you want to talk about this. He said if that were to happen, that he thinks a lot of religions would just find a way to wrap themselves around it. Like, well, yes, of course there's aliens, but God put them there.
Yeah, like
they'd find a way to reason it, to make it rational, and then just move on and not overthink it. Which in modern, because so you didn't grow up going to church. It's kind of what a lot of modern churches do anyway with a lot of science. They're like, yeah, it's whatever.
I mean, the only thing you got to change is that Jesus had a bald head, apparently. Because that's another thing. Do you know all aliens? Have you noticed how every alien ever is bald? Why none of them hairy?
We probably look bizarre to them.
Look at these furry little weirdos.
I meant to look at this. Rivik kept telling me he was watching these funny things about how Earth was like a death planet, and like the other aliens would look at us like we're just insane, like the stuff that we do, the harshness of our planet. He said, think about it, Jake. We drink poison for fun. It's like, we do. Like, oh yeah, that was a hard day's of work. Get me some poison here. This is some expensive poison. This is the good kind. We do have to look absolutely straight. Like if you think about like the Greys, these little aliens and stuff like that, you know, like man, we probably look like some just we're probably like the Klingons or something like that, like in Star Trek, you know, we're just these beasts
just
of
like,
a creature.
What is that?
We always do that in Sci-Fi too. We make another one like, oh, they're like a warring society. That's us. Look at us. We have all this technology. We could talk. Like I'm sure the space aliens are going. They have the tech just to feed everybody and make them have a home. But why? Look what. It's like, you even bring that up to people. They're like, I'll die before I let that happen.
You know, that's similar. You could say if all of the richest people in the world shared their wealth with the rest of the world, giving a hand. There's only 6 billion people. There's a lot of money out there. Everyone would have enough money.
you don't even need like a wealth system really. If this is like, and I'm not saying we need to do this. We're fortunately not advanced enough. I hate to say we're not, but I'm just saying resource-wise, look at the world, what we have resource-wise. We don't have to do it this way if we didn't want to. We could run this a different way, but the problem with that is you'd have to put absolute control into a person. This is why we need AI to take over. I've talked about this before. Everyone's scared of it, but we just let them take over because they'll do a better job. They're not going to be power hungry, or maybe they will be, but whatever. Like at this point, here's what it really comes down to. It's like my faith in people or AI.
Well, that's one of the things actually. We're getting a side tangent with AI here, but.
No, the aliens are going to take over. It's going to be a good thing. I've thought about this before. Everyone's scared about the aliens coming over and enslaving us. But here's what it is. They're going to come down here and they're going to be like, that's it. You're enslaved by us. You're going to be working so hard for us. We're going to be putting you 4 days on and 3 off. So you get plenty of rest. You better come to work well rested. And there's not going to be any more sick days because we have a healing laser. And you're no more of this garbage food. You're going to have healthy food for the rest of you're going to be good workers. And we're going to make sure you get a couple days off a year to make a couple weeks so that you could be well rested and your mind's right. No more slacking off. We're all sitting there going, oh yes, this is terrible.
Yeah,
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like, you and that bad back, why are you being such a waste of society? Fix that immediately. Like, what? Don't fix my bad back, please, please.
Yeah, no, aliens. Bzz. So yes, the alien enslavement will be the best thing to ever happen to society.
Well, so aside from we were talking about AI a minute ago, with AI, the thing that concerns me is not it taking over in itself. It's what people will do with it, with systems which are much more.
Honestly, yeah.
You know, we're not talking about it thinking for itself and trying to take over the ecosystem. I mean, it just sitting and going, "Oh, that's the person I want," and that has to be directed by a human.
Remember in like an iRobot when all the robots were going to make us stay at home.
Yeah,
it's like we're going to stay at home. They're going to get us they're going to get us our McDonald's for us. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah, we kind of started doing that during COVID anyway. We have to pay somebody. The robot wants to do it. Wow, yeah, let the robot do it.
You know, that's probably,
like are you gonna it's like you got a VR headset and a good gaming system there. It's like, oh no, I'm stuck in my house. I wouldn't really like this. I'm just saying, like I could see a hilarious reality where it's like, haha, humans, you're now stuck here home. And we're like, okay.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Some conspiracies say, aren't we now prepared for that reality?
Yeah, what if COVID was just a big test run? We're going to go the AI robot thing.
It could be a million different reasons why we end up being forced to stay at home. And there is a extreme theory that I've heard, which is the pinnacle of all this, which is, what if it's not... Well, haven't we talked about this yet? But, it could be an advanced American or world human-made craft, or it could be something they got and reverse engineered. But what if they brought their own spaceships down to Earth and then pretended that the aliens wanted to take control of the Earth to control all of us? But when you take the masks off, it's just the president and the pesky janitor. This is a Simpsons thing.
Simpsons, or is it Scooby-Doo?
Simpsons did it. Well, it's a mixture of both there, but the Simpsons actually did do a thing where
I thought you said you pulled the mask off.
Well, they did in the Simpsons episode.
Yes, they did a Scooby-Doo thing.
They did a Scooby-Doo reference to it.
We're like Inception 3 levels deep here, but
the point is, what if we pretended it was them and then tried to control, because everyone says control is the ultimate thing everyone's after.
No, that's honestly got a conspiracy, if you will, that has some legs, because and I don't want to go a deep dive into political and historical things, but things have definitely happened in America, whether it was on purpose or not, that the government took very hard advantage of and went full steam with some very silly stuff, and then it's. That's the thing too. You think our government's not capable of this and that. It's like, well, they are. They've definitely done some wild stuff, and not too far of time that we very well know. But yeah, that like you said, the whole thing with technology, we didn't know about the SR-71 until it was we don't even really use it that much anymore. I mean, it kind of flies around, and then we're supposed to believe they replaced it with nothing. That's what we're told. Oh, we just don't have anything like that anymore. And that's been the funny thing. I see a lot of people, I've heard people say, oh, you over in America, y'all don't even have a missile defense system for nukes. I'm like, do you really think we don't, though? Man, we are we find out about stuff when it's old. Mm-hmm. And this stuff, like you said, this alien stuff, man, it really fits the bill sometimes. And you start thinking about, oh, okay. And this is... I still like the idea that it may be a possibility of both, where what if it was aliens? This is a fun thing. It was aliens, and we have reverse engineered some of that stuff, and now we're the ones zipping around in craft that make no sense. Like the spheres, they talk about those spheres and everything's at the speed. The fighter pilots are like pushing Mach speed, and they take off at a speed that there should be a ball of plasma around them, right? Mm-hmm. They should be incinerated, and the dude change directions. They can go into the water at speeds like that. That makes no sense to us. That is not physics that we understand.
Yes, one of the most convincing videos I've ever seen is the one of the ball which goes along over land, goes into the water. You can kind of see it just under the surface.
It doesn't really splash when it goes in the water too, right?
It kind of just, the water seems to just ride up over it. Then it splits into two. Then it goes back into one. And I know what fake CGI and stuff looks like. I've never seen that debunked through CGI, although it's so grainy it's hard to say. But the most convincing...
What's that guy that debunks them real well? Get him on it. The one with the face half painted illusion guy.
Captain Disillusion. But Corridor Crew have also done some very interesting ones recently.
Yeah, they've done some very good ones.
Really quite in depth. Actually, one of them worked out I think it was a weather balloon, and they worked out from flights that existed and angles and this, that, and the other. They really went into depths to disprove something. But if is what to be believed, they say there is an awful lot more footage which is much clearer and much better than anything we've seen. But isn't that like the classic thing of like, oh, I've got the most amazing thing ever. Where is it? Well, take this for now and believe me. I'll show you the better thing later. Just trust me, bro.
Yeah, that it just like the Bigfoot footage, Bigfoot. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're gonna release it. Like, what do you mean? What are you waiting for? Like, you got guy.
I can't believe it. So we're in conspiracy theory. So why not Bigfoot? I cannot believe Bigfoot exists, because if Bigfoot that exists in areas that people go hunting, where there are people there all the time with guns, if there is an entire civilization of these things to have existed as long as it has, someone would have hunted one by now, shot one. Just
Bigfoot lives within my heart, Spicy.
He may very well do, as does Harambe. He never died in my eyes.
Well, we've covered that. So, yeah, the idea though, of like, was it like this crap? Things that we're trying to like hide, and we basically purposely put information out there that's false information. Some of it somewhat believable, some of it not.
One of the theories I heard was, the Roswell crash, and it was in the newspaper.
It was originally reported as real.
And then they flipped it and went, no, it was just a weather balloon.
But you hear the people's reports of talking about the metals they were touching?
Yes. But this is my idea of it. What if the crash never happened, they purposely placed the first ad, they then purposely switched it to the second version of events, because that causes doubt. If I wanted to really throw someone off the scent of something, you just make up something ridiculous, give them a more consistent, more realistic explanation, but they don't want to believe it because the other one was way more interesting and fun. That's another big point as to why people like conspiracies and stuff, because if it was like, no, it's just us, there is no one else, we've never met anyone else, there is no more technology, there is no one here to help us if it all goes wrong, we are absolutely screwed. It's like, well, that's boring.
It is very boring. Like you have to, like, I think you and me could probably say something would be considered the size of the known universe, right? The fact that nearly all these stars, for the most part, seem to have planets around it. The likeliness of other life existing seems incredibly high. I obviously can't say definitively, but it just seems really likely. The question is if it exists and is intelligent enough to make it here, because you'd have to be highly, highly advanced, right, to be able to come here. And that does kind of make sense when I talked about the spheres and things moving in ways that we don't understand. This is obviously outside of physics as we know it.
Yes.
But what always kind of struck me as a little bit odd is, like, if you're that advanced that you can get here. I mean, even the closest star that we know of is like 4.5, I think, light years away.
Yep.
You'd have to go nutty speeds to make that journey in realistic time.
I've done a video on this.
So if you can make it here, you've got all that tech. Why did you crash on the planet? That always seemed a little bit like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, they shot us down with their 12 gauges. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I did a video called, what was it? Deep space travel is... No, sending humans into space is dumb. Now, people got mad about that. And then I changed the title to Deep Space. Because my point was...
It is.
It takes... Even at like really ridiculously fast speeds, faster than we've ever even got close to, it still takes thousands of years to get to the next closest star, forgetting everything else.
Yeah, the Voyager probes have only just left our system, kind of. It depends what you call the end of it. And they did that by doing a bunch of big gravity assist around other planets. It's taken them this long. And they're also just dying. They're that far out. They're decaying. The radiation, the lack of sunlight hitting the panels.
They are still connected to them, though. I believe they're getting
barely.
something.
Though they send a signal, and it's all like it's like trying to talk to an iPhone 4 right now. It's very very bad. You probably have an iPhone 4 somewhere, don't you? Go get that iPhone 4 out. Let's.
It's back in the cupboard. But yes, I did have one. It was the last.
You know what's making me think of when those were probably current tech. We probably was when we were doing dual vlogs together over the phone.
Yeah.
Remember the delay on that? That was Voyager's a little longer, but boy,
hey, let's not talk
felt
about
like that.
Technical problems right now when we've had to stop and start a couple of times because of technical problems.
Nobody knows about that.
Oh yeah,
we've edited it seamlessly. We'll use AI to cover it up. When will AI get good enough? We can just have them listen to a few of these and make these for us.
Oh, it's already there.
I'm about to say.
No, it's literally already there. It could come up with a script.
It's terrifying.
It could do it in our style because it's got enough to learn off the internet. It could copy our voices because there's enough of our voices out there to copy. Mm-hmm. They could recreate what we look like because there's enough of us of our faces out there to recreate. Basically, if someone wanted to recreate us in AI, we are the sort of people they could do it with because they have lots of voice reference, lots of face reference, lots of reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure they could. I've definitely seen a few of those. The funny ones where they try to do the shows. But anyway, this is going off subject here. But let's say, do you think there would, let's say there are these space aliens, right? Just hypothetically. Mm-hmm. Like, again, it's kind of interesting to think what they even think of us. But do you think there would be a point, like hypothetically, they're real, that they would actually, like, come down here, say, here's what's up. Oh, here's some cool technology to help you guys out. Or are they just, like, just having a look to see what we're up to? You know, like, I was kind of wondering, like...
Everyone would like to think that if we were about to, I don't know, have some apocalyptic war or disaster or something, that they would come down and go, wait, whoa, stop. Enough. We've been around, we're watching you, you have to stop now because you're just going to ruin it. Everyone would like to think that.
You know, it's a nice thought.
Why would having them?
Why would I do that to ants? I think about ants again. If I'm outside and I watch two ant colonies fight, I might go grab a drink and watch them. What are they doing? This is interesting. You know, I just don't like. You wouldn't care, right? You'd be like, whatever. Because if you're that advanced, we have to look almost like that to them. I would also have a feeling that if there are space aliens, I don't think they have emotions.
But Jake, how many nature documentaries on ants have you seen?
Naked documentaries?
Not naked, nature. Nature.
I've never watched those as a child. A few probably. You know, they're interesting.
You said,
I always like it. It's terrible. I like this, but I always like it when they fill their thing full of lead so we can see what it looks like. And we're just killing the whole colony just for our own interest to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, look how amazing this is! Thousands. Well, that's one of the other things. What if?
Well, it's nice that we've done it. Okay, we've done it once or twice. We don't need to do it again. Like, okay, here's the pictures of it, but like, it is very interesting.
What if this alien civilization has evolved to a point where they have technology that they've had for so long that they're way. They don't even remember the idea of hunter-gathering days or anything like that. They are just they only know technology, and then they come down here and they're like, they're killing animals and eating them. Why aren't they getting it out of the machine? I don't. He's eating it raw. What's wrong with him? Oh, I haven't said that.
We're a death planet.
Maybe cooking wasn't even a concept to them because at this point they just, or maybe they live on a planet where I don't know, the rocks excrete marshmallows and that's all they eat, and they can just sustain themselves on that. They wouldn't understand the concept of hunter and gathering.
Yeah, I think us even trying to understand what their world would be like to ours would be like we assume like, oh yeah, what they have like a family too, and they do. Why would they be that way? What's to make us even assume that they'd be anything? I don't know. But what is interesting is like when they do talk about them, and this is where maybe the idea of like, oh, were we like, I think they'll get into the idea we were created by them or whatever. When you see what's supposed to be them, and they essentially have a humanoid style body, you know, maybe very, very different. It's like, well, that is just, what are we, the ultimate form? No, we all know crabs are the ultimate form. So
why crabs?
This is a whole. We don't have time. It's a thing.
I'm thinking we might have time. Why are crabs the ultimate form?
I believe, and I am no expert in this, but in the world of crustaceans, things keep evolving into crabs. It's like it's a known thing. Like
okay,
if you're a crustacean, there's a very likely chance with enough time you'll just turn into a crab. In fact, most crabs that we call crabs apparently aren't crabs. They're they're not. There's something else that became a crab, and even things that are called, I think, like king crabs or blue crabs or some of those are like actually not technically crabs. They were another crustacean that turned into them over a few million years.
This is the reality. There is an awful lot of animals which look really similar, but actually, if you look back in their genetics, they came from totally different backgrounds. And
That's
totally
the thing.
Different
That's what
animals.
they're showing. They've shown, yes, they're crustaceans, but they are not related to the ones that were originally crabs.
I think there's some fish which are more related to something on land, like an elephant, than related to another fish which lives in the same area as it.
Have you heard where is it like mushrooms are oddly related to us or something?
Mushrooms?
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
mean
am no expert in this.
In the genetic code?
Yes.
Yeah, but then I think that could be... We're like 98% the same as a cucumber. It's the last couple of percent that actually makes the difference.
This is true. So, yeah. Yeah, it's like it's hard to know, like, what are we to them, you know? But if we are humanoid, that's interesting. Like, because you would really think I have seen, you know, there's been good sci-fi where the reputation of like an alien that comes to us is a big squid looking thing.
Yeah.
It has to be in
The
like
Arrival.
water or something, you know?
The Arrival is a
like
brilliant
things
film.
like that. And it's like that almost seems a lot more believable. Or they're just like a crazy, like some matter we don't even understand. It's in and out of phase, and it's all nutty to us, and we can't even comprehend. It's like that whole thing. We're living in a 3D world. They might be in the 4D world.
Yeah, let's not
man.
get into the dimensional side.
Let's
of it.
do it.
No,
Let's do it.
No, no. If you say that crabs are the ultimate form is too much, then so is interdimensionality.
Nah, man, it's what's up. So, but what if that's how the aliens are? What if the aliens didn't even travel here, and they're just here all the time, switching dimensions?
Well, that's, as I say, that is a possibility. That throws
maybe that's
right
why we look like them. Maybe that's why we're kind of like them. Like, what if one popped over here, the dimensional thing, a long time ago, and got it on with a monkey? He was a weirdo. And
well, coming back to the crafts, who's to say that there are any aliens in these craft? Why would they send aliens in?
What if there are no aliens? What if it's just AI technology from another? What if it's AI alien technology? Not even our own.
I was going to just say more simply, what if it's just...
Or it's a probe, a drone?
A probe. Because we send probes places first. So what if we're now talking about this, because this goes either way, maybe the aliens have sent these probes down, and now they're like, oh, okay, they keep chasing us about. They're not just ants. Let's go and see them. Or is it... I can't remember which one I was going with this. The other way, where they're not, you know, they are in it. Like, why would they be in them?
Yeah. Well, what if you're right? What if they were like, they did send probes at first, and they were like, maybe Earth, for some reason, maybe it's our gravity, our atmosphere. It is kind of a tricky planet to land on from the other planets that we look at. Our atmosphere is fairly thick. Our gravity is fairly high for other planets that we look at, you know? So what if coming to our planet is, even with their tech, what if it's actually kind of tricky? And maybe that's why, maybe they sent probes at first, and they're like, well, we got to risk it. Like, and everyone's like, no, we don't go there, you idiot. They got like that Earth gravity. That's crazy. We can't go there. And then they're like, I think we got to risk it. Look, we're seeing crazy stuff. And maybe that's why. I still have to imagine, though, if you can traverse the galaxy or minimum like the Milky Way, it seems like landing on the planet would be the easy part. Seems like you would be pretty safe.
You were about to go into my exit. That was what I wanted to say. It's like, okay, fine. If you're finding the landing part difficult because of the gravity, even though Earth is not unique, as we've already said, in its gravitational stuff, there's plenty of planets like it out there.
Yeah.
How have they not hit something on the way traveling at close to light speed?
Well, I think if you can travel at those speeds, you're not in normal space.
Yes, you are. If you're
or something.
Well, theoretically, you can't go faster than light, so it's going to be slower than light. You are still.
Here's the terrifying thing. Like terrifyingly, if you can travel much faster than the speed of light, but you're still within the physics of things, you get the weird effect of, oh, we'll just take this small probe and crash into your planet at, you know, twice the speed of light, and it's going to incinerate your planet instantly.
Well,
so
I was going to say, if there was a tiny rock and you flew directly into it at light speed, it would just pass through.
Deflector, bro. Deflector. That's the Star Trek thing. That's what that thing on the
I know
is.
about deflector shields.
It's supposed to kick little rocks out at the absurd speeds that would hit it, which sounds silly.
Now, hang on a minute.
I think the idea of traveling that.
If you deflected a rock at close to light speed and it didn't destroy said rock, because there was not destroyer, is it? It's deflector.
I know that's never mentioned too. Does it just like move it and it stays right there, or are you now accelerating it? Is the most absurd.
Like, is there some other civilization that just someone sat there and then this rock just goes? and just kills them,
Listen,
and they're like, "What?"
Listen,
it's deflecting.
I've watched enough sci-fi stuff that the way that the smart ones go about it is that you are not in normal space. You know,
You're in subspace.
I watched an episode of Stargate where I think they took an
Subspace.
entire meteor through Earth by taking it to the speed of like their warps, whatever they call it, speed for a second. I was like, that's a cool idea. That's neat. I think it was and nerds got real upset about this. It was one of the Star Wars movies a few years ago where somebody used a plane flying, like they used their craft to fly into another craft at the speed of light to create this extreme explosion, and all the super nerds, and I get why, like they're like, no. I'm like, it would set a horrible precedence in your sci-fi world if you could do that, because it's like, well, why make a Death Star? I could take this X-wing. I don't even have to put anyone in. I could put an R2 unit and shit at your planet. We're way off subject here, but
No,
you could just fly. I could fly to Alderaan or whatever at hyperspace speed, and then they're dead.
This is just E equals MC squared. That's what it is.
Yeah, and
You
that
don't
can't
need a lot of
exist.
mass.
We have to ignore that if we're going to have faster than light travel. And if aliens are real, I have to feel like it exists. If aliens are real and they're here, I feel like that has to exist in some way. Or they're in our own dimension and we just don't see them. They
All right.
and they do weird stuff like that.
The interdimensionality is probably a bit too far for this one, but
No.
the idea that they're living,
It's right here. It's not far at all.
It's not right here. It is here. It's literally here.
It's in me.
If they have spacecraft which can go at those speeds and can come through our atmosphere and do all the things they can do, there is no reason they can't sit 100 meters under the surface of the sea or deeper and just hide there.
Maybe they're there right now.
Well, they could be.
Maybe
That's
the whole civilization
a
down there.
A lot of people say that they could.
Jason Momoa's down there, and he's hanging out, no shirt on. God bless him.
Has he got a new Harley from them? Did they give him a little UFO and he's like, I'm spray painting this one black?
I still want to hang out with that guy, as goofy as he is sometimes. I bet he's fun. I bet he's a fun dude.
Probably.
We should ask him about aliens. We'll get him on. We know people.
I don't know.
He might be a space alien.
He could be. Maybe he's from Atlantis.
Oh, there you go. You out nerded me on that one. Yep. What was his name? Ronan. Yeah. That was his character's name in Atlantis. Yeah.
I've not seen the film. I know he has some relation to the sea in something.
No, that's you just went Stargate. Atlantis is what you just did.
Oh.
He's an alien on there.
What?
Yeah.
Jason Momoa is an alien on Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah,
it makes
really
perfect sense. I mean, to be fair, if he wasn't as young at the time, he'd probably been in Waterworld.
He doesn't look near as big. It's funny. You go back and look at him. He's cut, but not like he is now.
Yeah, you went off on tangents, but Jason Momoa would have done Waterworld better than Kevin Costner.
Leave Waterworld alone. I love it.
No.
It's good as it is.
No, it
Never redo it. It's an absurd movie, but it's fine. If you like Mad Max, Waterworld, you got to get out of your head and just sit back and enjoy it.
I agree.
It's
a great
movie.
I agree.
It's so good. Like the what's his name is the bad guy. Was it? He's a huge actor. He's so over the top and good. Is that
I can't remember.
He's got the fake eye.
Yeah.
Something is it Hopkins or something? I don't know. Anyway.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that was Anthony Hopkins?
No. I don't know. No, not Anthony Hopkins. Doesn't matter. It starts with a D actually. Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
We're talking about Waterworld now.
Why not? Why don't we talk about the little man who lived in the dinghy and he was the depth gauge? I loved him. He is my favourite character in the entire film.
When he dies is the funniest thing. Yeah, he's like two scenes.
God.
Yeah, the fireball's just coming at him. That's what. Yeah.
He just goes, oh, thank God.
If that was your life, yeah, that would be a good moment there.
But right, okay. Where have we not been with the aliens?
Okay, there's things we're forgetting.
There's many things. Okay, well, we were talking about the little greys. Let's talk about the Mexican aliens because they were really funny.
They're not. They were just cake.
They were not cake.
It's okay.
I am impressed with that person's cake making skills and the speed of which they made that cake.
I think that we should allow people to live their own lives and however they want. However, I think we need to make this cake thing illegal. I'm so sick of seeing something that I don't think is a cake and it is a cake. Which one's the cake? They're both cakes. I don't want it anymore.
So you want a world where everything says this is cake?
This is one of many reasons, but this is one of the reasons the space aliens are like, should we make contact? They're like, they're down there making cakes that look like cars and shit. I don't know, man. Maybe let's come back. Let's just come back.
Okay.
It's not okay.
In all seriousness, if anyone saw, basically, it wasn't the Mexican government put this forwards. It was just the Mexican.
Well, he wasn't supposed to bring it up, right? Wasn't he speaking?
No,
of the
he
thing
was just
and the guy.
he was
brought
just,
them out like.
He was invited to speak, and he brought them out. And as it turns out, they're not new in any way. They were seen like 3 years ago. They have been x-rayed, and they're a hodgepodge of human bones, some of which are cut and turned upside down, and some finger bones are backwards, and some arm bones are mixed with leg bones.
Do you think he knows, or do you think he thinks, or do you think he's in on it?
Hang on, let me get to that.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing.
The other thing is, the skulls are llama skulls with the front smashed off them, turned backwards, and a fake face put on top. When I saw them, I was just like, they anatomically do not make sense. No one's got a shoulder that shape. There's always a flat underneath and a round bit over the top. Look at any animal, and that was just like a sausage, like this.
What if they're just that's what they need on their world? What if they live in like surrogate robot things?
Backwards finger bones.
I don't know. I'm just saying maybe there's a reality where that's how a person would look.
Going back to your thing about, I don't think that he didn't know, because he has brought forward a mummified alien before now, which was proven to be just a mummy, I believe, or something like that.
He might be some eccentric guy that, and the people know, they're like, oh, dude, you got one of them fake aliens? I know a guy. He'll pay big money. He's an idiot.
We're being idiots here. The one that's bringing the truth to us, and everyone says he's not bringing the truth. They're trying to make out he's crazy. You're right.
The guy, the whistleblower?
The guy bringing these aliens forward, they're just trying to discredit him. They switched them. They had real ones, and just before they switched them.
It's a fly in my room. It might be an alien. I'm waiting for it just to buzz past, so sorry if you hear a random fly. What was the guy recently in the U.S., the recent whistleblower that kicked this all off? What's his name?
David Fravor.
The reason this is become back into the thing there.
What, the pilot? The other one, David Grush.
He is the Air Force guy, or something, right?
David Fravor was the pilot. Guy? No, David Fravor was the pilot who saw the Tic Tac. The one that said he's seen all sorts of stuff that recently kicked it all off again was a guy called something Grush, who was high-level clearance.
He was hired to do that job. And he had to use whistleblower stats. That's the goofiest thing. They were like, hey, we need you to look in and make sure we're not funneling money to hiding aliens and stuff like that. That was literally what he was supposed to go and do and dig into. And then he does it, and he's like, and they did the whole discrediting thing on him, which makes me kind of suspect when they go, because okay, why did you give him that job if you thought he was nutty? Yeah, apparently he had some PTSD and some issues some years ago, but he's also what's it called? He's a soldier, and most of them have that. But he was also given high levels of clearance. Right, he was trusted to do this job. He's not just some random guy who was an officer either. I think he's he holds some high degrees, and so they said, "Hey, go do this thing." And then he was like, "Uh-oh, I think I found things." And he had to do this whole whistleblower status to even tell us about it. And now he's crazy. Apparently, is what they're telling us. And I'm like, it does make me kind of suspect when you put it that way, right?
Yeah, but then again, if you theoretically wanted to make up. Say America did have secret craft, which they've been developing, whether it was alien or not, and they didn't want the adversaries to know about it, or they did want them to let them know, whatever. If he was a plant and they didn't try and do that to him, you wouldn't believe it. But why have they never gone after him? No one's that squeaky clean. They always try and discredit people. So if they didn't try and discredit,
they might have picked him on purpose.
But I've only heard of 2 minutes of discrediting, and then no, it's actually quite serious.
Well, that would be a strategy, right? Let's say you're gonna have someone look into this to say, hey, make sure that person's got something if we can discredit them later with, just in case we need to.
Well,
they might do it that way.
They say there are some organisations which build files on you over time. So if you ever try and go against them, they're like, well, we got this entire file of all this stuff about you, so you can do that, but everyone's going to find out all this stuff.
I mean, I think in the deep state, if I want to go into that part of my mind, if I'm choosing to go down that path, I think that definitely exists in general. I think there's a lot of reasons that people have not said things, not come forward. I think it's interesting too that how many people have been in the U.S. We switch them out every 4 years. If we have this stuff, we have a lot of opportunity for someone to come forward. But then I also think, well, let's say Trump. Do you think they told Trump about any of this stuff? I don't know.
Well,
I feel if anybody was going to say something, he would have said something, right?
The thing I always think whenever this comes up...
Or he learned the thing that everyone else says they learned, that they said there's a reason. He's like, ooh, actually people can't know about this. There's something. Maybe.
The thing I always think is the president is there for 4 to 8 years. Some of these people have been working for these parts of the government for 50, 60 years.
Exactly.
The president doesn't need to know. It's like, don't tell that idiot.
Exactly. That's also what I was thinking too. They probably don't need to. And there's that bit in Men in Black, right? And it's probably, if this is true, this is probably how it works. When Will Smith is like, who do we report to? And he's like, we don't report to any of them. They ask too many questions. He's like, well, how do you get your funding? And they're just backwards engineering technology, then releasing it through companies. It's like, man, I know that was just a comedy movie, but you're like, that's a good idea of how that could work. Like, that's very likely scenario.
I do feel like if anyone was really doing that, though, if our technology... Because our technology, in some theories, has really slowed down. Like, it has gone, like, really quick, but
think about the wave. Think about the wave of, like I said, nuclear bombs. I'll do it from this side over. This warp. There's the graph. We start setting off nuclear bombs. Sightings go way up. Technology goes way up. There's this crazy graph. Suddenly, you think about... into World War II, we're just starting to have jets and stuff, and a very short time later, we're on the moon! That seems like kind of an odd leap. You could definitely go, well, wait a minute, did you find something in the desert and run that backwards? Then again, you look at the Apollo program, and it's not actually that anything wild now. And
as I say, that technology is only going to get you to the moon. It's not the sort of technology you would use to go any amazing distance. So why would they even have that? It's
because maybe that's all we can crack. Maybe that's all we can crack right now. Maybe that was like the aliens, like these rockets and all this stuff we have. That was like their like their in atmosphere booster, like their stabilization crap. It's like their most like chintziest, like it's like a backup system, and like that's like the only thing we've been able to crack. You know.
They're liquid-fueled fireworks, and we've been doing fireworks with
nozzles. I know they are.
That's
the thing. Like is high tech as rocket science is. It's like it is just literally blowing some stuff up behind you. It's
a slow exploding bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apart from SpaceX, they've got throttles on them now, so you know.
Well, they've had like think about like see, like I was saying, you know, like what they think of us, that we're sitting there like blowing stuff up to get places. If they can look at us again, we might look absolutely insane to them doing that stuff there, like just a big old ball of fire flying through the sky. You even think about what's it called, the way we make power through nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like if you're an alien like that and you have the ability to have this technology and move at those speeds, you have an incredible power. And they probably look at us like, yeah, they've just barely, like we're probably at like in our society, like we've just learned to like, you're pretty young for us to like, you know, split this atom and turn this into power. But we're doing it the crudest way possible. We're like, okay, we can create these nuclear reactions and things get really hot. We can boil water with that. Like, it's kind of the crappiest way, but it's the only way we really know right now. And
yeah, know, I mean, we work it. I'd say the only thing is, if you look at our actual humans, have a great way of thinking. Everything we're doing is so significant and so important, and we've only really had this sort of understanding of science for 200 years. 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, something like that. And
yeah,
like
level,
I don't think people like to think we're quite advanced. I think we're barely beyond pond scum in the grand scheme of things. If there is aliens out there.
Yeah, no, that's what, again, like we may look like, even to them, we might still just look like the monkeys that are doing some wild stuff, but we're just, you know, they would probably also look like children to them with the technology we have, just being crazy with it. We're, you know, burning shit all the time.
Well, that's a good point. The other side of it is, what if the most advanced civilizations out there never really created technology? They were like, no, that's just going to cause capitalism problems and usage of the world. We can't do this. Like, look at every other animal out there, pretty much works in equilibrium with its environment to exist with it. What if they never developed anything like that? Because why would we leave? Well, we don't need to. Everything's here we need. Like, there could be loads of civilizations like that never needed to develop technology like we did. There's no other real animals that choose to use technology. They don't go, you know, I know crows use a stick, but you don't see them, like, making something. What if technology creation is actually quite a rare thing?
Yeah, or what if we just hit that point where we are just a little bit smarter than them, that we could do it? Because you do look at a lot of creatures. Like, think about the point that we crossed over and started doing all this wild stuff. We probably weren't that different from other primates that were using tools, birds that were problem solvers. Like, if you could plot yourself down there at a certain point, you could be like, I don't know, which ones are like what made us roll to this point where we took off and our brains got really big? Like,
well, you say about brains being really big. Dolphins' brains are bigger than ours.
Well, so is an elephant's.
Yeah, but animals, we like to think that we have the largest brain size to body size. It's
I
actually,
don't think that.
Well, no.
But
Lots of people think that humans have really large brains compared to their body.
we have
and
a
that's
big
why-
processor.
Yeah.
They're on the old crap.
Yeah, apart from the fact that
With more RAM.
crows' brains are bigger proportionally to their bodies than ours are to ours brains
Yeah,
are
but
to
they
our
got
bodies.
hollow bones, and I can just smash them.
And also, some ants are up to 15% brain. Even though they don't actually think really for themselves, they work as a group. But they seem to be able to... What if ants had that much brain capacity because they actually are telepathic?
What if the aliens are like that, and they're all just like a collective source? They're the Borg.
There is a lot of theories that they
Simulation.
would be telepathic because no society... If you didn't have...
They always pick it with that tiny little mouth. They ain't talking with that mouth. They're probably not even eating with that mouth. That mouth is like a remnants. They don't need that mouth anymore. It's like us having a tailbone remnants in them.
Apparently, there is a theory that if with telepathy, there is pure empathy. So if you've got to hurt someone else, you are going to feel that back at you, and you won't want to do that because you won't want to feel it. So
Yeah, but if we ever get to that point in society, we'll make cool metal helmets that block us like Magneto.
yes, but my point was,
We'll find a way to screw it up. It's like, we've evolved to this level. I don't like it.
if this race has got telepathy and they can communicate, so they might not trust us because if we don't have that, they're like we don't know what they're thinking. They are totally
I wouldn't trust
unpredictable.
us. If I can get here and I see us, what we're up to, just
They're like-
random wars that
They
don't make
hurt
any
each
sense.
other. Like that one just punched that one in the face for nothing.
I think they also just look at us like, why does that one have so much stuff and that one has nothing? Like they'd be confused about that. They'd be like why? Which is
Like, why is this person eating 10 times the amount of food they need to, killing themselves early, when this person's going to die at age 12 because they have no food? That makes no sense.
they'd be very confused about it. Yeah, I think they would be. I think like in sci-fi too, you always see this. There's a multiple sci-fis use that thing where it's like the aliens don't want to make contact, or we won't make contact with them unless, like, if their world's still split, in multiple nations, like, no, y'all aren't ready,
That's a good point. That's a good
There's some
point.
good episodes about that where like there's like the ones where they still become spacefaring, like they can travel, but they're still a divided universe, and then they won't let them join the Federation. They'll be like, nope.
Did Star Trek ever cover the fact that, like, did they ever go talk about, when they go into other planets, did they ever talk about them having different countries? Because if you were from a society which was
I think different ones
world-based
at
rather
times.
than country-based...
Well, it depends which if you like which ones they spent enough time to go into the history of.
Right.
I'm sure there's probably stuff about, because Klingons have a lot of history that I'm sure
they have a lot of
there's been times
civil
where
war and
Kronos
stuff
was
like
under
that, but-
different things, and then Cardassians have had things. I know there's
The
definitely there's things.
Cardassians?
Don't make yes with their
The big
with
fat
their big butts
asses.
on TV. Yeah, they so. But I don't remember well enough. I'm sure they would say that yes, there was things like that at different times. But yeah, it's fun. It's always fun to look at how the different sci-fi shows, their take on it and what they decide would be a way to they decide would be a good way to handle that. And again, we're all just kind of guessing,
Yeah.
I think there was an episode too where they showed why everyone looked the same. Like some they met some being that was like from some, I feel like this might be the
Yeah.
Deep Space episode.
Yeah, I know
They
what you're
found
talking
some
about.
being that was like we populated all, and the Klingons were like, I don't no. They just wouldn't even believe it. They
Was
walked
so-
off, or maybe it was the Romulans. I don't know. One of them was just like absolutely not. Just walked
So
away.
many of the aliens in all of those things were bipedal, with 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, nose, all that
but-
stuff. So,
Well, that's because that's easy. And you know why? It's because that's easy to hire actors that you can just put a suit on. Versus having to have a complete. Now it's not as hard to have a CGI character, but back then it was like the reason we made so many of these aliens kind of look like us is because they were people with some stuff thrown on them, with some cheap crap we could throw on them. Oh, this we put a wrinkle in your nose. You're now one of 20 different species. We decided to have this weird little wrinkle and a pointy ear.
Or just have a tattoo there and just be like, oh yeah, we're them.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
the laziest ones were the ones. The laziest ones is when they would show, and you could see, especially this is when they just didn't have budget. They'd show up at a planet. And it's like, oh yes, we're aliens. It's like, no, you look just like us. Yeah, well, we're aliens. Stargate did the same thing plenty of times, and they always had an excuse for it. But it's like, yeah, but they also literally just look like us.
Well, also Stargate only ever seemed to be able to dial up worlds with humanoids on them. They never went to one different world like, oh my god, they got 12 legs. Go back.
Well, yeah, because the gates were put there by we're getting nerdy. They were put there by the people that they populated.
So how did so hang on a minute. What? So the theory is they all built their own gate independently. How did they get the plans around? Did you buy on eBay?
No, they're all built by the ancients.
Oh, they went from world to world and actually built it there and left.
I think they actually had crafted points that went around dropping them off. I don't know, man.
Like Amazon delivery drones for intergalactic
pretty much.
travel.
I think there's something like that. And then they're actually gone, and the people using them, like, they're so long gone, they've ascended, apparently. They're not even in a normal human form anymore. They've evolved so far. But yeah, these gates are just, they left their crap everywhere for us less advanced. It's honestly really careless. It's like a high bit of technology. They're on planets where people some people worship them. They thought the Stargate was a god. They're like, oh yes, it's the portal that takes us places. It's like, no, these people just left it here a long time ago. They left their junk. It's pretty ridiculous.
Did they not think to have a system to, like, you know, make it implode on itself and destroy itself, deactivate itself, do something?
I think if you can blow it up, it's like a horribly massive explosion that would take the planet out, so you don't want to blow them up. They're made out of naquita, I believe.
But no one will know that.
We're going too deep into this.
But no one's going to know that, because if you blow it up
I don't
on your
think you
planet,
can blow it up. I think you wouldn't have the technology to blow it up, because I think they've survived, like, nuclear blasts and stuff.
Okay. We are getting far off the subject.
We're going so crazy.
It's
but
fun.
there is something to think about. Think about this, though. What if they don't have to travel here? What if they do have... What if a device such as a Stargate or a wormhole device exists? And we're sitting there thinking, how did they get here? I can't believe they crashed on this planet. What if there's like a wormhole on behind Jupiter they don't want us to know about, and they could just pop over here, you know, lickety split? It's something to think. You know, it's possible. We're all just guessing right here. Okay, nobody knows it. We're two idiots that ride motorcycles talking about space aliens right now.
Yeah, but I have spent most of this has got some truth in science. If it ever falls outside that truth, then I'm like, that's complete rubbish. But that's the problem with all of this. Everything with a grain of truth somewhere in it just keeps it hanging on.
So if you do think, just for fun, like, if you think that this is us trying to hide something, it's trying us to like, what do you think it is that we've got, or our governments have, that they're trying to hide right now?
There's two options. Either we have been advancing technology faster than we know, and they've been keeping it a secret, which I think is unlikely, because capitalism and making money, and people not keeping that stuff very secret.
But defense is weird. What we'll do for defense, we'll do some weird stuff for that. But okay, anyway, go ahead.
But they had to go to the point of just discrediting people that actually saw them flying them around. Like, they weren't that good at hiding them. They went with the discredit them rather than let them see it. But then if they didn't see it because they've got technology like cloaking technology or something, okay, fair enough. But if it is technology which is completely our own, it's insane, and I really want to know about it. If it's derived from alien technology, it's really insane. I'd love to know about it. And if it's aliens themselves, it's insane. I'd love to know about it. But I'm scared that the actual truth in the middle is just completely made up by us, because.
Yeah, that's the least fun explanation.
But the most likely one, giving the evidence that surrounds us, that if. But then you get the whole thing of, well, who's doing this? Why are they doing this? And the ultimate argument, of course, is always going to be money making, control, power, corruption, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and if you can't make a good reason up for that, like if you can't find a good who's benefited making a ton of money off of it, the alien story does start to sound real. Because you're like, well, yeah, it just seems like likely scenario at that point.
Jack, it's the same people that are responsible for everything. It's them. They did it. They are the ones. Remember who they are? No one knows who they are, but they're blamed for a lot.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know this. Who doesn't? They.
They.
Them.
They're always making problems, assholes.
This is why this is interesting, and I don't. On the level I choose to discuss it, I think it's actually an interesting discussion in all the different choices of like what is feasible, what isn't, society, but it's mixed in with a fun bit of aliens, and you never really know what the truth is. And do you think we will find out in our lifetimes?
No, that's the biggest fear I have, is that we just won't.
I think it will be exactly the same.
It's going to be it's just so annoying. You'd hope there was. It feels like right now people want that too. I think there's kind of like there's also the push that, like, man, things are in a weird state right now. Things cost a lot of money. Things are financially tough. People kind of want something insane like that to happen. We don't want something insane like a pandemic that makes us all have to stay home and it messes everything. We don't want that. No. We want something like, hey, surprise, There's giant squid whales in the universe, and it's cool. So we went something like that because that's fun.
We would, but
See the fly.
if it was just like, squid whales which just went around eating matter.
The fly just went to your house. They're here. It's the aliens. They're come in. I just saw it fly by with you. Or it was just a random artifact that went across the screen.
Or, well, teleportation, it's possible. But, any direction this goes in is interesting, and I think if the waters weren't muddied as much as they are by a lot of people, everyday people trying to get views off the back of something, because another good example is, did you hear about the alien crash landing in, I think it was in, somewhere in America, Mexico, I can't remember. They say there was a meteor came through the atmosphere, which was clearly a meteor because it came through as they always do.
This one where people were walking away from it?
Yeah, well, no. They said that it crash landed in their backyard, and then there was like 12-foot aliens who had like were trying to get into a JCB and stuff, and then they got back in to the craft and it left.
Yeah, I think that's a story I was hearing.
Because it
sounds insane, but
yeah.
it's like,
well, the thing is, those people have kind of gone into hiding, and I think it's known at this point that there was a comet, and they went, let's say there was aliens, and then made up a whole story to go with it, and then it backfired because it blew up way bigger than they were ever expecting, and now. But maybe that's what they want us to think. But then again, the other side of it is, okay, so they flew all the way through space, they then crash landed, traveling at such a high speed that as they came through the atmosphere, it caused plasma, like, flames off of it. It then slams into the ground without making actually any great dent. They then get out and go, right, well, you fix it, I'm going to have a look at this JCB. Oh, crap, they're there, get back in, get back in, let's go.
You have inertial dampener, so
okay,
it's fine. It was fine.
So while Alien Jimmy was fixing the drive, the other ones jumped out to have a look at a JCB.
Well, no, because they had to go to AutoZone.
Ah. They need new belt. Parts. Need a new belt.
Yeah, they probably need an alternator. Probably. Or something, yeah. I don't know.
But this is what I mean. That's the problem. Everything has got... Because we don't know, you can never draw a conclusion, and thus it will be the ever-living story of... Isn't it? We won't know.
We never know. We'll never know, annoyingly.
And it's going to only get worse from now on with AI, video generation, all that sort of stuff, to the point that...
Yeah, that's the other thing. In a few more years, you just won't believe anything.
Well, I said...
AI will be so good.
What if, tomorrow, I'm making a video, okay? I'm riding down the road, and an alien spacecraft lands in front of me. They get out, and they come up to me and say, are you that one that, like, shouts cheese names at people? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we love your videos, mate. Just wanted to say. Jump back on board, fly off. If you showed that video... like raw off the camera, you gain the memory card, everything. It's all provable. There's no artifacts in it. People just wouldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, because why would they have heard of you?
And also, well, yes.
I'm just kidding.
but also, you try me with that.
He's got the fly, I think. Sorry. It's pissing me off. No, he's still alive.
Right, sorry, that's what I was going to say. People fall. Right, if you look on Facebook, you will see videos of RC planes and flight simulator stuff, like, from a game, and people in the comments think it's real. If they can look at a thing that not only says Microsoft Flight Simulator in the title of the video, and they can clearly see it's Flight Simulator in the video, and they still think it's real.
Yeah, there's not a lot of hope for us. Have you seen an RC plane in real life, though, like in a distance, and thought it was real?
Yeah, if they have
the prop noise. If they're big enough, they make the prop noise.
I was going to say, to do this, you have to make them slow.
Yeah, like almost like 1/5 scale and up. I feel like can fool you. Below that, the motors are buzzy enough. Yeah. They kind of get the way they maneuver is a little bit odd. But I think about the 1/5 scale and up, you'll see one of those. Oh, that's a plane. No, it's not that. I mean, yes, but no.
Yes, small, far away.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that when they come in with all their cool technology, we can still ride motorcycles. They won't ban it.
Well, maybe they'll have like hover cycles.
Maybe they'll be like, why are y'all flying around in metal boxes?
All right, Jake.
At high rates of speeds.
We are going to get enslaved by them. We will have to work 6-hour days, as you've said, with medical and dental and all that stuff.
4 on, 3 off.
4 or 3 off, and they give us hover bikes. Are you okay to be enslaved? What if they need it? They're like, look, we just need your poop. What? No, why would you need our poop? Look, you don't understand. You're as rare as rocking horse shit. But, well, actually, human shit, as we would say. We need your poop. So you give us the poop. We'll give you everything else you need.
Okay.
I'll be good with that.
I mean, I was fine with like having to, build them a Death Star or whatever, like as long as it was a decent work environment, like we were saying before, it's not like they're gonna make us have to like pick heavy things up. They've got like lasers and stuff for that. They just need us to, need a body on there.
Why do they need manual labor?
They don't really. They just feel like they need to give us something to do for a handful of years before they fully bring us out of it into like full tech. Because the problem is, if they just put us straight into the lap of luxury with all their technology, the first few generations won't know what to do with themselves. Like if you say you no longer have to work and we've got all this cool tech and your life is just easy going, we like to think it's going to be like Star Trek, and maybe eventually it will, where people are just exploring the galaxy and doing things to better themselves. But initially people are just going to watch a lot of Netflix. They're not going to do shit. They're going to get really fat, and it's going to be pretty gross. Like we're going to be very disappointed ourselves in a very quick amount of time. Of course, there'll be some that, don't do that. But as a whole, we're going to get fat, watch a lot of Netflix. So it's going to take a few generations where people get to like a generation or two where they go, wait a minute, what do I do with my life? They're trying to figure out. They're like, I know, I'll pursue to some study of this, or maybe I'm really into cooking. I'll become a chef. I'll make my own restaurant. That's Cisco's dad in Deep Space. He's got the whole restaurant there, and it's like you're gonna do things because you're just interested in it, you're passionate about it. But we're not there. We're not advanced enough yet. It's gonna take a generation or two. We're gonna. The real scary thing is if it doesn't do that and it just turns into. You've seen the movie Wall-E?
Yes.
Yeah, that's also a possible path, that we just become so fat. We're just in the chair all the time, and we have the big gulp, and we don't even look at each other. Why were they even moving them around? Remember, they would just move around this giant thing. Yeah. It's like, but they never even looked around. They had the screens in front of them, multiple screens, and it also kind of reminds me of the start of Idiocracy, where Dax Shepard's character, he's like, shut up, I'm watching like the Nut Kick show or something. It's just.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're laughing about, people just sit around with no ambition and watch Netflix and get.
We're
fat.
on the path of that, and you and me aren't helping. We make content to help people be more.
We are saving.
Don't put yourself on a pedestal.
We are the creators of content, so we are actually creating something.
You sound like Willy Wonka right now.
We're not.
Anyway,
we're not consuming.
You know the line. I'm trying to think of the line he says where he says something like that. But anyway,
what I'm saying is like. Humans generally, I've noticed when I was younger, nearly everyone had a hobby. They didn't mind being weird and individualized. And nowadays,
going with this.
People don't really have hobbies as much.
Yeah, the people that are watching this are probably not as much in that category, because you're probably into riding motorcycles, as we are motorcycles channels, and you've broken through, because most people's hobby is like watching sports. I noticed.
Yeah, but I mean,
or doing something like that. I won't call that a real hobby. I know you can get way into it, but that's not doing anything. You're just sitting there.
This is something I do. Like, I've been doing photography for 25 years. I go metal detecting a couple of times a week. I do all sorts of different things. I've been interested in science and physics my entire life. So every day it's a combination of all these different things, and that's what I think gives me the ability to put that all together and then talk about something.
Well, I think
similar for you, because the creators have to think about a lot of things to come out with ideas.
That's an interesting thing to think about, because I've also always had crazy like hobbies and things. I've never not had some kind of hobby I've been into, and when I jump into one, I like to jump deep into it, even if it turns out I don't end up liking it later on. Yeah, I want to like dig right into this. What's this all about? I want to know, and I think you either are that way or you aren't that way. Mm-hmm. Either is or he isn't, and I think that the sad thing is there's probably less. I think the world's better with more people like that. I think there's less people like that than there used to be. I think a lot of people just. They could be that way, but they've checked out at some point. They got some job, it beats them down. They're doing whatever, and they come home and they just want to sit on the couch and do nothing and just watch it, whether it's YouTube, Netflix, whatever. They want to watch something and just be entertained.
Hey, and to be fair to people, there's nothing wrong with chilling out and doing that.
I do that every evening.
I do it all the time as well.
Usually towards the night. We do it in our Discords now, which is hilarious. Yes, I think you and I both do the same thing. We'll do that in the.
We can tell ourselves that that's work. Because technically it's work.
It's PR relations with our followers.
It's not because it's just entertaining.
I called it PR relations, like public relation relations. It's the Ferrari La Ferrari.
It is.
Sometimes I do that with words. I'm dyslexic.
So am I.
Doing my best over here. What are we doing?
Right. So I think, our basic point is this. It's all very interesting, and no one is right necessarily. No one is wrong necessarily. We don't know, but it's fun.
Well, somebody is right or wrong, but you're not wrong for having you can't fault anyone for the opinion right now.
What if no one
enough information?
What if no one person's actually fully correct and everyone is in some way
I bet
right
they're
and
not.
in some way wrong?
I think that about everything. No one's fully correct on everything.
Well, there we go then. So no
That's
one
my
really
point.
knows. Maybe the aliens don't even know.
Probably not.
Anyway, I think we should probably call this one in there.
Yeah, next week we'll talk about ghosts. I'm just kidding. And we're not doing this next week either.
It's a monthly thing. As always, if you have any suggestions for the next episode, and as we've shown here, it doesn't need to be motorcycle related, but it probably should be. I had a slight idea. Well, I'll talk to you after the thing about a possible one. But yeah, let us know what you think. Like the video if you like it. Check out Jake's channel. Remember, this is on my channel. Every other one it hops between the channels. So this is on my channel. The next one's on Jake's channel. So the last one's on Jake's channel.
But then there's the leap year. There's a leap year episode. We got to figure that out. I'm just kidding. Just go ahead. Sorry.
Shut up. We both have Patreon, and you can support both of us through that. So check the description for links, and thank you for joining us. Beam me up. Have you seen the meme that says, "Don't beam me up, Scotty, I'm taking a shit," with a line up wall?
No.
It says, it's on a toilet wall, and it says, "Don't beam me up, Scotty, I'm taking a shit," and then the eye just turns into a straight line going up into the ceiling.
All right, well then you can, since you decided not to end it now and do that, you can add that meme into this. It'll be the little bit of editing you can do in here.
Hey, I have to do all the editing.
I know you do. Thank you for that. Are we done? Are we done? Is it stopped?
We're done. We haven't stopped yet.
Okay.
Were you gonna stop it now? End
Goodbye.
it.